Well, I just arrived. I'm at the trailhead for the Beaver Brook Trail up Mount Moosilauke. This time I have a different stove. I bought one that's called a BioLite stove, so I'm able to actually charge my phone without sun or anything. It just works off of wood, and because of that I can get more than a day's worth of video. Last time I was up here, I put up my video and I only got up to the shelter and the battery was dead on my phone by the time I was done taking the videos I was taking. So this day or night I can use the stove and charge this thing up. So I'm going to make my meal this evening and then keep the fire going in there so I get my phone up to a good charge for the summit. Again, I mentioned this in other videos. This is a self-pay station here. It's, you can see there, $3 a day to right there, $3 a day for your car to park here. You just get these envelopes over here, and they have a hang tag for your car on your rear view, and then an envelope that you put the money in. The envelopes go right in here, and you're covered for the trip. It's kind of an easy system. I like it. The only thing is you have to make sure that you have a pen in your car, because if you're out here and you don't, you can't write anything down on the envelope. So be sure you got something like that in there. You're going to be driving back into town to the store to get one. And yeah, it's a very nice day out. A little breezy, but it's nice. It's warm, probably mid-70s. It's supposed to get cooler in the nighttime, down to the 40s. I got a 3-season tent, a different one than I had last time. I'll set that up and show it off when I get up to the shelter. This is a punishing hike. It's one of the toughest trails in the White Mountains as far as the big 4,000 footers. The other one, Moosilauke Ravine Trail up Mount Washington. That's another tough one I've done. I'm hoping to, my goal is to try and get up as many of these 4,000 footers in New Hampshire here in the White Mountains that I can get up to. I mean, it's a lot. Some of them you get lucky because once you get up there, you can make a few summits from one time up. Like you could get up Mount Washington and then go to the neighboring mountains just right above the tree line and follow the ridge right up there. So you can make a few summits with actually only one tough climb to get up there. So here I go. I'm gonna get my gear set up and ready to go, and I'm heading out. Right out of the car, right out of the parking lot, you pass that sign that tells you how to do the self-pay thing, the station there, and then the path comes up here. There's this really nice looking brook right here. This actually drains down into a pond. I don't know if you can see it back in there. There's a pretty big pond. There's not easy access to it, so I would be willing to bet that there's a lot of good fishing in there, because it's probably not overfished or anything. This is the easy part. The tough part is up by a sign up here that tells you it's a tough part. Here's one of the bridges that they made. This is only maybe 100 yards from the car, maybe a little further. Still pretty level traveling right here. Usually you see these types of things all across the White Mountains here up in New Hampshire. They do a nice job too. They coat them with tar or something to keep them from rotting out. They look like telephone poles, old telephone poles that were diced up. Nice and sturdy. They'll probably last for years. Here's another one of those bridge crossings here. This one's got a lot more water in it, this brook. You can probably hear it. It gets a little deeper right down there too. Not deeper, I mean, you could stand in that and it would only be up to maybe your knees or your thighs. But yeah, there's two branches that come down. One thing I like about this trail is that it's got lots of water sources, so you could fill your water bladder up at many different points. Right now, this is the fourth water crossing I've come to, and I'm not that far along yet. And then the Beaver Brook up the hill here follows most of the way up to the shelter. It's a little hairy up there. Trying to get water, you got to pick and choose your spots, because there's a lot of places that don't have access. You can get out into some rocks, but the water's pretty far down from you, so you wouldn't be able to use any kind of water filters or anything. I did find a few spots up here that you could definitely do your thing with, get all your stuff filled up. But water is a plus, because when we were doing Mount Washington last year in August, me and the people I work with, all 5 of us, we got up to the summit, and on the way back down we took the Jewel Trail. The Ammonoosuc Ravine Trail was fine. That trail had plenty of water, but the Jewel Trail, when you're coming down, there was no water until maybe a half a mile before the car, maybe less than that, maybe like a quarter mile from the car. So we really couldn't fill up until the end of that day. So we made sure we were pretty stocked once we got to the summit. That's what I like about this. One thing you gotta consider while doing these hikes is, do you have enough hydration with you to get you where you're going? Because last thing you want to do is start getting dehydrated and those headaches, and then it leads downhill from there. But yeah, so here's another one. Okay, I'm at the steep part of the trail. You can see the sign right behind me right there. It's the one that warns you to turn around if you're not in perfect health, because it's a vertical ascent pretty much all the way up to the shelter. So, hi. Hi. Here we go. Let's see what we can do. The Cascades started about 25 yards behind me, and there they are, going up the hill there. And there's more of the trail. You can see that. Yeah, it's like that or worse the whole way up to the shelter. Supposedly shortly after the shelter, it starts to moderate out a little bit, and it's a little more bearable. Plus I'll be dropping all my gear at the shelter, and then just hiking up there with the top part of this Osprey pack here. It comes off and becomes a waist belt. So I'm going to take any of the smaller stuff I need and put it in there, like my water bladder and stuff, and then walk up with just that part of the pack on, leave the rest in the tent and all that in the tent at the shelter. So you come up these footholds on the rocks here, and the trail goes up there, but check this out. As you come up over the rocks, that water actually wore the sides of this granite down from up there all the way down to there. Same thing with up the hill here. The power of water is just something else. And then when it freezes, it can fracture the rocks, make them fall down into rubble. This is what brings down mountains. Well, I'm further along now. Cascade's still on the side of me, so I'm not near the shelter yet. When I get near there, the trail forks off to the left and goes up a different way. And the shelter's a couple hundred yards from that. It seems further when you're going up this, though. Right up where that broken log is, there's a bend. And past those bushes, there's a big rock outcropping that has rebar affixed into it, like U-shaped rebar that's cemented into the stone so that you could get up there a little easier. If it weren't for that, I don't know how people got up here. I mean, I'm sure they did, but how they get their gear up here. As a matter of fact, there's actually the remnants of a hotel up at the summit of Mount Moosilauke, and when I get up there, I'll videotape some of that. The only thing that's left, I think, is the stone foundation. Everything else is gone, but I'll get that on video when I get up there. You got to pack a lot of water for this hike too. Man, you lose hydration really quick. And passed an elderly couple away back. They came up to the base of the falls and then went back just for a short hike. This trail, the other side of the mountain is a little less steep, but this one's the quickest way up. It's the toughest, but it's the quickest too. Shortest distance. I think it's around 4.7 miles from the car to the summit with the stop at the shelter. That's a little side trail off of this trail too. here's what I mean about how treacherous some of this path is right here. If you look down where my walking stick is down there, that'll just slide you right down into the falls. And here's the rebar that they put in place. There's a bunch of these along the way. We got this, but that stump right there, half a stump, is one of the only things keeping you from sliding down in that area. So if this area gets wet, if you see that there's a good amount of rain in the forecast, this is not the trail to take, because when this granite becomes wet, it's like ice. You'll slide right down, break your leg, break your ankle, something. Or even worse, you could fall off and die if you fell down into there and smacked your head off a rock or something. But it's supposed to, but today's Friday, the 14th of September. Tonight it's supposed to be a few showers around 10 p.m. and then 2 in the morning. And then the rest of the trip's going to be nice. So I got to make sure when I get up to the shelter, I get my gear set up and then try to stockpile as much wood as I can. Small pieces for the stove I was talking about that I'll cook my food with, obviously, and then charge my phone with, because I want to have enough for 4 meals and enough to charge the phone. It's going to be more than you might think. It is very efficient on boiling water. If you're doing mountain house meals, they only have about 2 cups of water that you have to boil to make them. But and that happens in about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, depending. But charging the phone, you got to keep the fire going for a while to get some kind of a charge on there. I think I had it for an hour last time I did it, and it was charging for an hour, and it made it 20%. So, I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty good considering what a solar panel would do in the same amount of time. Not as well. I think my I have a Brunton i6 Solaris solar panel, and it's a packable one. I didn't bring that. I want to use this one instead. That way I'm not dependent on the sun for it. But that one, I think it charged my phone in the same amount of time, maybe like 7%, something like that. Because it's not a lot of wattage, but the heat that's produced from the fire, the excess energy from that is more than enough to charge small devices like this phone I'm using right now. It's an iPhone, and I just plug it right in the USB port on the side. You'll see all that when I get up there and make my meal. But yeah, pretty neat. And there's, again, around this corner up that ledge is where I'm going. Alright, I made up that little part I was just showing. I'll show you from the top angle, and you can get a sense for the gravity of how dangerous this trail actually is as you're going up. Right there. I mean, you can see that's probably down to that part of the falls right down there, past these bushes, these trees. That's probably 30 feet. So you slipped, you fell, you're hitting that ledge right there, the next one down, into that tree if you're lucky. If you're not, you're going around the tree and right down onto that granite slab that's all wet down there. But I mean, with risk comes reward. Once you get up here, this is just another part. You can see I'm starting to gain in elevation pretty good. Just starting to poke out above the trees a little bit, enough to see some kind of a vista. You can see the other mountains off there. That one right there, that's actually the Kinsman Ridge Trail that goes up and over that. That was the one that I did last time, not last time, 2 times ago, Easter weekend, when it was still pretty frozen up here. I made it up here, I couldn't go any further, and I had to turn back, so I went that way, and there was some cool areas. If you haven't seen that video, you should check that one out. That's got a lot of nice little areas in it too. And this is the falls up this way. You can see here, even in dry times where it hasn't rained, everything up here, the trail is just muddy and wet, and it's because of all the tree cover it's got up here. So even on a good day, this trail is dangerous because well, one thing I try to do, if you could step on the tops of the drier parts of the rocks, what you want to do is obviously keep your soles of your shoes from getting muddy or wet, because as best you can, because that's going to just make them slick. And then even when you step on a dry spot, you could slip off and end up hurting yourself and having an accident. But as far as hiking boots goes for me, I use these, they're called, I think, Lowa, L-O-W-A, Zephyr. They're European. There's that. That's what they look like. I don't know if they make these anymore. I got them about a year and a half, 2 years ago. But they are awesome boots. The soles really grip. You can use them for, they're Gore-Tex. They're GTX. If you see that on a pair of boots, GTX, that usually means that they're Gore-Tex, which is waterproof and breathable. So it'll keep your feet pretty dry if you can walk through small amounts of water and stuff, and you won't be soaked. So, and they're high top boots, but mid high tops. They're not really tall, and they have good ankle support, so you don't buckle your ankle to the side while you're hiking. And another thing I remembered this time that I forgot last time was my hiking pole. I'm actually thinking about getting this one's doing the job for now, but I had a couple of hiking poles. I let the other guys borrow them when we were doing Mount Washington, and they're just cheap. This one, it could have been a job lot or Walmart special, something like that. It lasted one mountain and it snapped. The spring, because these are supposed to be anti-shock. You can see, you can push it up and down there. And the other one, just the bottom here snapped off it. The cup snapped off it, and then it just totally broke in the middle. So these aren't exactly the best poles to rely on. But a brand that is preferred by mountaineers is the Leki, L-E-K-I. They make really awesome hiking poles. They're expensive, but they will last you a lifetime. They're really nicely made. They usually have cork handles on the top, ergonomic grips. They got a good ball on the top so you can push down when you're trying to lean into it. And they sell different kinds, the stiff ones, and then the ones that have the anti-shock that have the suspension in them. Those ones are a little bit more, but that kind of pole ranges anywhere from 80 to 140, 150, even more on up, depending on what ones you go for. But they're worth it once you get them. If you're into this kind of thing, if you do this often, you want to get something that's going to last you and keep you safe. There's some more view of the mountain up in here behind me. The falls go down, and then as I get the lighting right, there you go. The elevation gain's going up pretty good. Here's the other side. You can see that up there. Back in here behind me. Look at that. This is a good area for for a picnic or something. If someone wanted to just come, there's plenty of flat rock down here. As a matter of fact, I think I'm actually going to fill up my water bladder right over here. It's a pretty good spot right down here. That's a Katadyn Swiss-made water pump that I have. It's good for 13,000 gallons with one element that's in it. It's porcelain, a porcelain filter that's silver impregnated, and due to that, it filters down to microns. Like, it'll take out bacteria and Giardia, cryptosporidium, the kind of stuff that gives you the runs when you're out here in the water. Well, hopefully you'll be able to hear me over the roar of the water. This is the one I have for a water bladder. It's a platypus. It's called the Hoser because it holds 3 liters of water. These are nice. I mean, people like smaller ones for saving on weight, but the big ones here, these ones are nice just because you fill it up and you're pretty good for the day, depending on the intensity of what you're doing as far as hiking. So this is the water bladder I have in my pack that I'm going to use. It's got the tip there so that you can get water off of it without it spilling anywhere. So I'm just going to take this top part off. This is the part I want to fill up. Stand that right there. Here's my water filter. They have a newer version, does the same thing, has the same element in it. It's just that it's a newer style to it. The handle, the pump handle on the top is a little more ergonomic, but it's the same thing as this one. As you can see, Swiss made. It's a Katadyn. It's got this end here with a floating foam on it, so you can adjust the depth of where you want to get the water from. Usually you want somewhere in a happy medium in the middle. You don't want anything from the top, because that's where stuff usually floats. You don't want anything from the bottom because of all the debris on the bottom. But somewhere in the middle is where you're trying to get. So, let's see. It's got this plug that goes on it too, so what you're supposed to do is take the hose, put that in there, and then once that's on there, you take this part, lock it on the nozzle, like so, and then the thing is, this has a lot of pressure when you're pumping with it. It'll pop this tube right off the bottom, so that's why they give you this extra part here. That's on there. That locks it into place. So, and then the top part, there's no resistance on the top part because all the suction comes from the bottom, so it doesn't have one of these for the top. But just get it on there nice and snug. The nice thing about these, same with the newer models, they come with a clip, so you can just take this. You don't have to, it frees your hands up. You don't have to have a one hand holding this in and trying to get the tube where you want it in the water. You can just take it, it clips right on there, and then take your other tube. Let me show you down here. Right in the water here, yeah. So I have this standing up, the water bladder standing up down here. Just take this, for how deep this water is, it's like maybe about there. It just floats down a little bit in there. And then you can just pump the water out. It's a little bit of work, I'm not gonna lie. You're definitely getting a workout from this, but you're also getting water that isn't gonna be contaminated with anything because this is such a good filter. And yeah, I'm actually gonna put it over here. There's a place down in the rocks here that's a deeper little pool. So let me show you. See if you can see the water bladder down here. That's tough. About right there. That's better. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, see how the water's coming out of there now? So I get both my hands free. One here to pump it and the other one to hold it steady. It comes with these bumpers on the bottom so that you can push it up against a rock or anything. It may not seem like it on this, but it's actually fairly quick. You're definitely getting your arm workout from it, but it's fairly quick filling up. Another thing about this, this pump here is, you can't really use it in the winter time. You can, but you have to make sure it's completely dry because the element overnight will freeze up. I've tried putting it back in the, letting it air out during the evening near the fire as best I could, and taking it all apart, and then packing it up, putting it in the sleeping bag overnight. But in the morning it was frozen solid. I couldn't use it to pump water. I have water purification tablets that I think it's iodine or something. You just put 1 or 2 in depending on the amount of water that you have, and those ones work really good. And they're light, so this is a little heavier. This is like a 3-season water filter. You can use this when it's not going to be below freezing in the daytime. It could be freezing at night, and then it'll warm up enough or sufficiently in the daytime for you to get out there and pump your water like you need to. So well, that's that. That's actually pretty funny. I was just talking to 2 people from Florida, a guy and his wife, and they were walking down here, and how I had mentioned the Lecky trekking poles. It's exactly what they had. They do this often, they said, and that's funny. They know the good stuff. So I'm a little disappointed in myself about that, because all the rest of my gear is pretty high-end gear. I'd rather wait a little bit, save the extra money, and get the nicer stuff. And that's one instance that I didn't. So I have what I have, but when this one wears out, that's the kind of trekking pole I'll be getting for that. It was just coincidental that I was talking about it down the hill, and then someone comes up right after with a couple pairs of them, him and his wife. There's another view of the falls over here and behind me. One thing, this is a very scenic trail. I mean, you can go on a lot of New Hampshire hikes and it's just woods and path and woods and path, maybe a periodic landmark or something. But this one just has natural beauty going all around it. I mean, the whole way up. Ammonoosuc Ravine Trail, I think, had one up on this one, because it had, you get to a certain point and it had a lot more skyline. I'm sure this will get that way, but it was lower on the mountain. You could see a lot further. This is still pretty covered in by trees for right now. There's a nice view up at the shelter, but I'm sure they're much better once you get up above the tree line. Well, I just came from down there. You can see all these wooden steps that got put in here on that slab. And then, and that's another precarious spot. When I'm over here, I came up, and this rock, this big rock right here, right near that ash tree in front of that, the one that's fallen over here, I almost slid right down there. It doesn't look slippery, but the moss on there, and all the foot traffic has smoothed off the rock so much that even though it's dry right there, it's actually slippery. Could be the soles from people's shoes rubbing off on it for so many times. But yeah, I almost had a little boo-boo. Here's another cutaway in the rocks here, where the water just ate right through the gorge here. Check that out though. Can you see? I don't know if it'll adjust. You can't see it on here. There's actually a whole range of mountains right out there. You can see them pretty good from up here. But they aren't showing up on the camera, I guess, because of the light compensator. It's 3 hours later from me leaving the car, about 3:30, and I'm at the point in the trail here where it forks off from the river, or the brook, and goes off to the left. And remember it from last time very well. It was steep grade all the way up to the shelter, but I won't say I'm pretty close, but I'm say 2/3 of the way there. Up here you can notice the color changes a little more too. Up on the mountain, the trees are starting to get their reds and yellows. Up there you can see them dotted in between the pines. Down at the base it's a little bit, but not so much so. But you can tell summer's almost over. Okay, I'm trying to get some stable footing up here. Still climbing in elevation. I just talked to another hiker who said the worst of it as far as elevation gain is behind me, so that's good. I have been up here before, but all these steep inclines start to look the same. This sign right here, if you can see that. Here, let me get my footing. There we go. It says the shelter's still a little ways off, so I got some more up here to contend with before I'm there. Right now, yeah, 3:45, I think. Almost 4 o'clock. And I still got stuff to do when I get to the shelter too. I got to set up camp and, like I said, get wood and stuff, so kind of cutting it close. I tried to get an early start today, but I live like 3.5 hours away, so bring the kid to daycare and then head out from there, and here I am. So see what I can do. I'm almost there. Here's the signs. The shelter is actually just right down there. I gotta find myself a camp spot and set up, but looking at this other sign here, if you can see that, let's see, the third one from the top says Route 12 is 1.6 miles back. I only came 1.6 miles, and it took me, I think, about 3.5 hours to do it, maybe 4 hours. If you were walking a 1.5 miles just down a flat paved road, it would take you about 15 minutes walking at a normal pace. It's amazing. Elevation is so underestimated, how much longer it takes to get places when it's steep. I mean, you go 10 foot forward, but you're going like 30 feet up. Oh man, I gotta get my site set up, and I'll show off some of my other stuff, my tent and things. Okay, I'm here. I got to drop my pack finally. You can see I got a lot lighter load. It was like carrying a big kid on my back. This is my water source here, where I'm going to be able to fill up my water bladder again in the morning maybe. It goes down there. Last time I came down here, set up camp and everything, I came to fill up my water. Someone had like emptied all their food garbage into the stream, so I had to go upstream from that so I wouldn't get contaminated water. The shelter is right back in there. Can you see it over my shoulder? Yeah, right there. It's occupied though. There's people in it, so I'm setting up my tent, which is not a freestanding tent, so I got to set it up on the ground anyway. But I was hoping to hang out by there and get a fire going, but I'll just get my stove going at the campsite. Well, I finally made it up to the shelter. There's the lookout here from the shelter, which is behind me. They cleared a little bit of the trees up here so that you could see a little further. Yeah, look at that. That's amazing. You can see so far off up here. I can't wait to get to the summit tomorrow. And this is there's the shelter. I guess it was built in 1993. It's got a lot of room in there and seating, fire pit. I'm up at one of the campsites up the hill here. I'm about to get set up over there. But man, this was worth the walk. Okay, here's my site. It's actually pretty big. I'll have to stand back a minute so it shows up better on the camera. I have a 5-pound, it's called an Alps Mountaineering Mystique 2 because it's a 2-person tent. I got all my stuff kind of set out here. I still have to get wood, set the tent up, that kind of stuff, but brought my folding saw, the Felco 600. These things are awesome. It cuts right through wood. My SOG seal knife for splitting wood. The shovel that I use to remake the fire pit over here. I had to stack the rocks up a little better and then dig out the old wet ash so I could get something going. I'm probably going to put a flat base rock down so it doesn't suck up the moisture and the fire goes better. And then that's the new tent right there. You'll see it when I set it up, start setting it up. And this is something that I actually really like. One of my buddies, TJ, had another version of this, and it's actually a stool. I'll set that up in a little bit too. Brought the phone charger for my iPhone, so I could continue taking video after the battery goes down. And new cookware, that's just a pot. There's a measuring cup inside of it, a little light plastic thing. This is a emergency candle lantern Yuko neoprene case. It just takes like a 9-hour candle. That will be set up in a little bit too, you'll see that. And there's the BioLite stove. This thing is awesome. It just runs on wood, charges items. And one thing I never really showed off, or showed what I had, my first aid kit. It's got a lot, but it's really light. There's not much weight to it, so, but it's got everything I need. It's got obviously toothbrush, off bug spray in case this time of year you don't need it. There's not many bugs around right now. If you get bit by an ant or stung by a bee, this stuff takes care of that. And then just different things, obviously Benadryl, back pain medicine, just different kinds of painkillers and stuff, acetaminophen, moleskin. I didn't even think about these until guy I work with, Asa, came with us last year up Mount Washington, and I had the hugest blisters on the bottom of my feet, and I would have probably not made it down were it not for these things. So right as soon as I got home, I bought 2 of them. One's at home, one's here. So if that ever happens again, the nice thing is you get the pad, and then you just cut it down to size for however big the blister is on your foot, and it's like putting a layer of skin over the skin that was all messed up. And then more sting relief stuff, burn cream. I even got a little dental floss in there that came in a sample pack at one time. Surgical gloves, scissors, you can always use them for something. Same thing with the cotton from the Q-tips, you can use it to start fires. Toothpicks, because they don't weigh anything, nice to have around. Different kinds of assorted band-aids. These are actually called brush-ups. You put it on your finger and then you can brush your teeth with it if you don't have toothpaste and a toothbrush. Sterile gauze pads. These are just all different kinds of band-aids and stuff. I think I have a triangular bandage in there too, for in case something got sprained or anything. But yeah, that's that stuff. And then obviously my Osprey pack right there, Osprey Argon 85, holds a lot of stuff, it really does. And then my headlamp there on the tree, and my water bladder up over there. That's the shelter, again from the back side. So I'm going to get this thing set up in a minute so I can start videotaping the tent going up. Well, here it is. This is the tent I'm going to be setting up. It comes with the tie downs, just for more stability. I'll be using those because it is supposed to rain tonight, so make sure I can try to keep as dry as possible. This is my first time using this tent out in the field, so I don't know how it does with rain. We'll find out pretty soon. Sometime tonight. It's supposed to rain around 10 o'clock and then rain again around 2 in the morning, so with showers. That's it though. And yeah, so it comes with 2 of these. I think they're reflective. They're really, really bright yellow, but we'll see. It's also got, only thing about this tent is it's not freestanding like my winter tent, so it's not the thing you could set up inside the shelter down there. You'd have to have it staked down for it to work. This is it. Another thing about coming out here, you always forget something. I forgot my my floor saver. I have a cut down tarp that I put underneath the tent. I didn't bring that, so I'll just have to make do. Hopefully this is a good position in the out of the campsites that are here, because it looks like it's got, if you look here, it's got drainage going all around it. So if the rain comes from down the hill, it should go funnel down this way around where my tent is set up. So last time I was down past that I don't even know, the board thing there, right down the hill, and it was at an angle sloping down, so all the rain would have just came right in. But it was a 4-season tent anyway with a floor saver, so there's nothing to worry about with that. So we'll see. Get this thing going up here. I'll tell you what though, as far as the size of this little site, let me move this out of the way, my tent seems to fit in there fairly well. Let me get out of the picture. It's just enough room to set it up without having any rocks or anything under me, so it comes with these 2 other poles too. One goes through right here, and the other one goes through the middle right there. That gives it the frame. It's sort of like a, I don't want to say coffin, but it's like a coffin tent shape, like the way it's set up here. Once it goes up, it's meant to just kind of fit you in there when you're laying down. It's supposed to be for 2 people. I don't know about that. I don't think it's a 2-person tent. It does come with nice aluminum poles, so these are lightweight, easy to pack. Again, I said this thing weighs about, I said 5 pounds. It's closer to, I think, 4 pounds and 8 or 9 ounces, something like that. But they're they have shock cords in them that's shock corded, so you don't have to worry about losing your poles or if they're all there or anything. So this big one goes right back there, and then the smaller one goes up in the tail end over here. But because this tent isn't freestanding, you have to set it up with the stakes first. It's the only way it'll be stable enough. It came with a few aluminum stakes. And yeah, here we go. See, it came with a little patch repair part here, so you could, if you got any rips or anything in it, you could take care of those. It's meant for the rain fly. You can see there. Everything comes in its own separate bags. It's got one bag for the tent and fly, and then one for the stakes, one for the poles. The ground here is really nice too. I mean, it looks rocky. You'd think it was rocky and tough to get stuff in, but for the most part I can usually shove these stakes in by hand, which is a big convenience. I mean, I could use a rock as a hammer, because no one's gonna in their right mind bring a hammer out here. Well, that one hit a rock, but the other ones went right in. So we got this one, and this last one right here. The rest of these stakes are for the rain fly. There we go. So we'll see in the morning just how dry this tent actually keeps me. This is a real world review, not one that you get from the company that tells you, oh, this thing's great and it does this and it keeps you so dry. I'll let you know in the morning what it really does. Well, it's actually a pretty good angle for the camera here. You can see the basic structure of it. I mean, right there, what was that? 3 minutes? Shoving the stakes in, putting the cross poles here on. There's 2 more clips you can see on the side of the tent right here. There's one on the other side there. That helps it keep more of a wide frame. I'll show you. That. I mean, once this is staked down, it is fairly rigid. I'm a little surprised by that. I would have thought it would have been more flimsy. I had it up in the yard once, but that was just kind of quick to let my kid play around in it. So that's this part, and then obviously we got the rain fly here. I'm gonna keep all this stuff together. Here's another nice feature that comes with it. A lot of tents do this nowadays. Move that up. They actually have instructions on the inside here on just how it's supposed to go together. So you can just follow the steps. Okay. There we go. That looks better. Now if you look around the sides here, my winter Eureka high camp tent has the same thing. It's got these clips, and there you go. And you just clip the rain fly right on before you even stake anything. So the corners just clip right in like that. Well, that's basically it. I am going to use these ties for the front here, right there, and then the back side, just to keep that pulled out a little bit more. Well, after looking at the logistics of this, I'm gonna have to rework things. There's the fireplace, and there's my tent, so that's not gonna work. I'm gonna get hot embers from the fire all over my tent, burning holes in it, so I'll have to move it over there. I found another spot above the water runoff area right here. This is a nice area. If I just dig that out a little bit, put some rocks up there, that'll make a nice level place that's off the ground, so I won't have to worry about the water either. So I'll get started on that. Well, here's the BioLite stove. It's going. It's been going. I cooked my food and ate it already. It's probably been burning for about, I want to say an hour, hour and a quarter, something like that. And it almost charged my phone about 20%, more like 19, but the wood that I've been finding around here is kind of wet. That's one thing I wanted to mention about this thing. Yes, it works. Yes, it does its job, but it works a lot better if it's got really dry wood. Back at my house, I have mountain laurels, and being able to use the mountain laurels, burn the mountain laurels, they burn a lot hotter, they're drier, and even when they die and it rains, you can just peel the bark off and they're nice and dry underneath. So up here it's mostly evergreens, and the evergreens get pretty damp. It rains a lot up here. The White Mountains here in New Hampshire have a tendency to change weather really quick, and tonight, not too long from now, it's supposed to start raining. We'll see what happens. I'm doing my best to keep this thing going. I had to get a fair amount of wood, but not a lot of wood. It doesn't consume wood on a great scale, but you have to cut it down kind of small to fit it in there. Right now the phone is doing good. I ended up coming here at like 29%. It's up to just about 49 right now. So it does its job, which is great. So I love it. Yeah, that way I can actually get the summit tomorrow on the video. So this is a big help. I mean, if it was a solar panel, it's not going to help me right now in the nighttime, so having it be dark and still being able to charge my phone, that's ideal. Well, I left the shelter a little while ago. I left my tent, my sleeping bag, that kind of stuff down there. And if you could see in behind me here, the fog's rolling in a little bit up here, back up this way. But I'm starting to get out above the tree line. I think this is just a little false spur kind of spot, because up in here behind me, there's still some pretty tall trees. All on this side. Who knows? It could have been an avalanche or something, or a landslide. Because everything right in this little section looks like it's new growth trying to fill back in. There's a ravine trail that if I went back the way I came down here, a little ways down the hill, a path forks off to the right, and that takes you to another one of the lodges, the AMC lodges. It's kind of a ways out though. This is probably about half a mile up from the shelter, and I got about 1.8 miles to go up, and then 2.5 back to the shelter again. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, I'm working my way there. Let's see if you guys can see what I'm looking at off that way. The sky's starting to open up a little bit, and you can see most of the mountain range out there. Can't believe how high up I am. Only thing I don't like seeing is how the trail in front of me like this keeps going down a little bit. All this time and work to gain elevation, and then just to go back down again before I get to the top. Well, we're off. Check it out. Here's another area you can see off. Whew. Man, I'm tired. See if you can see all that behind me. I'm not even sure where I came from. I think I came from the other side of the mountain over here, like the back side of that, or over the back of that ridge line or something, because you can see the sun's hitting over there. Part of ground. Actually, a lot of spots out there. It's not hitting here though. This is all fog. Well, it's actually clouds because you're that high up, but yeah, look at this. This is cool. Here I am, above the tree line. Not yet. This is what they call the alpine zone. You can see right there. Supposedly the trees end in maybe 50 yards or something, and then it's above the tree line and then the summit. So let's go take a look while I still have some battery. Check out all that in there behind me. Let's see if you can see it if I get closer. You can see most of New Hampshire out there. Here I am. I'm above the tree line. I just made it. I gotta tie my hat down because it's probably about 30-40 mile an hour winds out here, and there's the trail I'm heading up. And this hat is gonna go right off the back of the summit, so I gotta tie it to my pack real quick. I had to swap my gear out. It's windy up here. I'm sure you can hear it in the camera. Look out there. The sky opened up, and now you can see small towns down there. The summit is right up here. Man, people that come out here in shorts are crazy. Alright, well there's the summit with all the people up there. You can see a 360 view. The clouds are here, but they're sort of moving out. Oh, and I'll show you on the other side though. All around me. And the trail obviously has these rock piles. They have a name, I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, there's it. I'm gonna get you another one. I'll be up there. If there's a sign, I'll be in front of it. Alright, there I am. Right at the summit. Someone owes Mike Fucci $5. Oh man. It's so windy up here. This is cool. Check out the remnants of the hotel here. And there's some of the above the tree line area right there. Mistaken. I think the hotel foundation is right down there. I'm going to take a walk down to it. I don't know if you can see that in the trees there. Nice. Poke around a little bit, see what's in there. Right now, I had to make sure that I'm at the highest point of the summit. I didn't make it all the way. be the actual hotel site. I am still going to check out that other one because that was made of cement, but what are these here? I'm not sure. And yeah, this was all cemented together at one time. The old structure that was up here. I don't know if you can see right. Let's see if you can put that one there. I think that was the tie downs. Like they'd use something like that, cable the building down. So up here it's so windy all the time that things could literally like blow apart. So they put those up there so that the wind won't blow the thing into pieces. Here's the other structure I was talking about. You can see these things right here. They have like loops cemented into a block of cement so that you can tie the building down. Again, the window is relentless most of the time. It's clearing up again out there. You can start to see a little bit more. The summit's actually right up there. That's the high point. We're still above the tree line right now, but I'm down a little bit from the summit. I wanted to check out this. I saw this from up top. I wanted to see what it was, and maybe it's a stable or something. Part of a stable. It's kind of hard to tell what any of this stuff is. I mean, I'm sure I could probably Google and find pictures of the what was here at one time. Well, maybe it might be have some black and white photos posted. A lot of people are getting a lot of historical stuff online, so I'll have to check that out when I get home. See what this used to look like. Here's the bolts that they would use to tie down to bolt down the actual timbers. Man, I made it. I'm up here. That's all the mountains right around me. The little hotel is behind this clump of trees right in front of me here. Yeah, the hotel's right there, or part of it. The other part's up at the summit behind me. If you look straight ahead between the two dark mountains, and then there's that saddle in the middle. There's like a wind farm out there. I don't know if you could see it on this, maybe on a big screen, but right there, in those mountains back there, there's a whole bunch of towers that could be windmills and stuff. Now it's starting to clear up. The clouds are lifting. You can see all the way around me here. I'm just trying to get this footage before it fills back in. There's the summit. Well, I made it. I'm back down at the shelter. I got my tent set up right here. I left it. The summit was awesome. There was a 360 view for a good part of the time. It got pretty cloudy. You were up in the clouds. I couldn't believe the temperature change between the tree line ending and the rock faces above the tree line. It was like 40-degree difference, really. You get to the edge of the last tree and it just stops. The trees just stop, and then there's the wind chill. I mean, it felt like it was below freezing up there. I had to put on my coat. I had to put on my my other hat, my winter hat. So I was shocked. But then as soon as you got back down into the tree line again, it was fine. I just had this Under Armour shirt on, and I hiked back down here. The second leg today was about 4.25 miles from shelter to summit to shelter again. I was surprised. This thing is charging the phone. My phone battery is actually almost dead, but the thing that sucks is the wood up here is all damp. It doesn't. There we go. It takes forever to get lit. It's just, oh man. Up at my house, or down at my house, there's all mountain laurels, there's oaks, there's maples, and that stuff works great for this stove for charging. So if you're thinking about buying this BioLite stove here, just take that into consideration. If you live where there's a lot of pines, how do I put this? This charging head down there, that little probe that comes in there, that gets covered with sap or creosote, whatever it is that the pine trees, the evergreens, excrete when you burn them, like the tar, and you have to clean that off or it doesn't charge very well. And it takes a lot to get this stuff going. Like I said, at my house in the yard in Voluntown, it's fine. It works great, and it was in an hour it charged at 20%. Here it's working. I was able to charge it again 20%. It took about an hour and 15 minutes to do that, and then I was able to videotape the summit. My battery was completely dead. The phone shut off right after the summit, and I was able to put it on this, and obviously I'm taking a video right now, so it's charging, but it's a lot more work with this stove up here. It is a plus over the solar panels, but as far as that goes, it's give and take. I mean, the first meal I cooked last night was horrendous trying to get this thing going. It took forever. This time it's not so bad. It started pretty quick, but I had the wood already set up here. I brought this bag, and then I put a bunch of birch bark in it, took little sticks or dead trees that were about that diameter, and then sawed them up, split them, and used them for the stove. So yeah, I mean, they work. This thing works. Right now it's charging. There's people down in the shelter down there. Right in there behind me. There it is. I got a neighbor over there in another tent. Well, I'm gonna let this thing go for now.